Hi, I'm Laura, a lover of delicious food, delicious beer, and exploring the world. If you're just joining in on the adventure, I'm currently living in the beautiful country of Lithuania. But over the Christmas holidays, I was in the UK visiting family, enjoying some live football matches, and sampling some of that delicious beer I told you I love so much. After a quick few hours in London on my last day in the country, I hopped on a flight to Madrid, Spain, where we pick up now as I explore this incredible city for the very first time. I headed out into the Spanish sunshine on my first morning in Madrid to explore some of the most popular tourist destinations in the city, the Royal Palace of Madrid and the Cathedral de la Almudena. Between the two buildings is a viewpoint that allows you to look out over the palace gardens and across into Casa de Campo, the city's largest green space and former royal hunting ground. Then I headed inside to take a look at the cathedral, which is relatively new compared to most churches around Spain. Madrid didn't become the capital of Spain until 1561, and at that point the church decided to keep the seat of the Church of Spain in the former capital of Toledo. The construction of this church didn't begin until 1879, and it wasn't consecrated as a cathedral until 1993. From there, I strolled a little bit more around this neighborhood and headed into the local market, Mercado de la Cebada, which translates as the barley market. But there's a whole lot more in here than some grains. Good afternoon from Madrid, España. We have been touring around this morning a little bit and are now exploring all the little alleyways around La Latina, the neighborhood here, and peeking in at all the tapas restaurants to see what we like most and wait until we get hungry and find a good spot. But for now, just exploring. It's so beautiful, so historical, a little bit dirty. Any big city is, isn't it? Before heading for lunch, I walked through one of the city's main plazas, Plaza Mayor, where you'll find tons of restaurants and cafes where you can sit out with a coffee or a beer in the sunshine, something quite a lot of people were partaking in on this sunny winter day. I also stopped into the famous Mercado San Miguel, which lots of people recommended for a fancy tapas dish and great wine. But it was a little bit more expensive than I was hoping to pay for a single piece of bread with some meat and cheese on top. So after using their free toilets, I headed out to keep exploring. Finally hungry for lunch, so we're headed to a very traditional Madrid restaurant called La Bola. I've heard a lot about it. I'm excited to try some food, and fingers crossed it's open and not crazy busy. It was indeed open, and they were able to seat us at a tiny little table in a very busy room, of which there were many rooms as you walk further back into the restaurant. We started with some langoustines cooked in a whole lot of butter and garlic, and then came the main event and the reason most people come here, the cocido madrileño, a stew of slow-cooked meat, chickpeas, and chorizo. First, you have the broth with noodles, and then you have the chickpeas and meat. At La Bola, they serve it with a huge fluffy bread roll.
Primero hacemos la sopita, después el cocidito, ¿vale?
Okay.
Gracias. La guindilla y cebolla para la sopa, salsa de tomate para los garbanzos.
Okay, perfecto, gracias. That food was incredible. I hope we haven't peaked at our experience here so far with our first meal in Spain, but I highly recommend La Bola. I will link below to the location for all the places that we've been in this video so far. But wow, the soup, so simple but so delicious. That meat was so tender, and the bread, I get the name now. so good. So I think we need to walk it off a little bit, maybe have a little siesta and do some more sightseeing. So let's keep exploring. After lunch, I headed towards Plaza de España and discovered that there was an Egyptian temple nearby that you can go inside. Originally built in the 2nd century BC, this temple was gifted to Spain by Egypt in 1968 as a thank you for the help they gave to Egypt to save some of their archaeological sites in the early 1960s. The temple was disassembled piece by piece, brought to Spain, and reassembled exactly as it had been when it sat close to the Nile. It's completely free to enter, which means that most people want to visit, and there's always a long line to get in. After a full day of exploring, I was hungry for tapas, so I headed to a bar that lots of people had recommended to me, Bodega de la Ardosa, an old-style bar filled with people and serving up some seriously good tapas. It's also where I first saw the peculiar way that they pour a beer here in Madrid. Good morning. It's our second day here in Madrid. It's sunny and warm-ish, so we're going to head out to explore. I thought I would just briefly tell you about the metro card system here. We picked this up at the airport. We took the metro from the airport into the center of the city, and you get 10 trips on one card. As many people can use them as you want. Luke and I just pass it to each other because you're paying for the trips. But from the airport, you have to pay €3 per person extra. So for 10 trips, plus the little tax from the airport, we spent €20 on this. Seems like a pretty good deal. We'll get plenty of use out of it. And yeah, I think it's the best way to get around the city. You can also use it on the buses as well. So yeah, I didn't find much information about it. So I thought I would share that with you. And I'll also link below to the app that I've been using to navigate around the metro system. Let's go. Day 2 was all about exploring the east side of the city, starting with the Gran Via, one of the main boulevards in Madrid, where you'll find some of the grandest buildings like the Metropolis Building, the Bank of Spain, and Fuente de Cibeles. We are spending this beautiful sunny afternoon exploring Parque El Retiro. It has a lake, it has this beautiful garden area, and it also has a conservatory that is supposed to be like a crystal palace of sorts. So we're gonna explore around here and make our way through the park. It's absolutely huge, so plenty to see, and it's a public holiday today, so it's quite busy. And there's no one behind me, but there's a lot of people in front. El Retiro Park is one of the largest parks in Madrid, and it belonged to the Spanish monarchy until the late 19th century, when it was handed over to the city to become a public park. The park itself, along with the neighboring street Paseo del Prado, are UNESCO World Heritage Sites, where you can see beautiful architecture, including the Crystal Palace. After all of that walking, we were pretty hungry, so we headed out of the park near the train station and went into a restaurant that I'd read a lot about, called Bodegas Rosell. A few reviews said it was an amazing place to have croquetas, so we ordered those as well as a half portion of their bacalao, or salted cod. The cod came out thinly sliced and covered in rich oil. We washed it all down with a glass of vermouth. That place was so good. We headed there as a recommendation for the croquetas de jamón, and they were so good. But we just ordered the bacalao as well, which was really thinly sliced. It was in tons of olive oil. They served it with some crispy bread. It was so good. So now we are headed to the train station, which doesn't seem like something you might want to do on your vacation, but this train station has a huge botanical gardens inside, some like crazy tropical plants from around the world. So we're gonna go check it out. Let's go. This is the Puerta de Atocha train station, located in the southeastern edge of the city center. This is where you head if you plan to take the train elsewhere in the country. However, you can also get the metro from here. It was a fun addition to our tour of this side of the city, but afterward we decided to hop back on the metro to get back to the city center and do some more eating and tapas bar hopping. First, we went to Malaspina, which is an old-style bar that was packed with people. We sat at the bar for a few beers, and all of these huge portions came with our drinks. The food was exceptional, but before we got too full, we paid the bill and headed to the next spot, Casa Toni. Casa Toni is best known for its offal, or the parts of the animal that perhaps don't get as much attention as the meatier bits. The dish I was most excited to try here were the sweetbreads, which were cooked to absolute perfection. We also had some pimientos de padron, some blood sausage, and plenty of beer to wash it all down with. This was one of my favorite meals that we had on the entire trip to Madrid. I hope you enjoyed touring around Spain for these 2 days with me. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. It really supports my channel. Like I said earlier, I've linked in the description box all the places that we went so you can pin them to your Google Maps. I always think that's a great way to travel around and know what the coolest places and the best bars are where you are currently located as you explore the city. There are more Madrid videos coming your way this weekend, so be sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss out on those. More tapas, more exploring, more tapas. If you have any questions about traveling to Madrid at the minute, let me know in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.